Uh-oh.
Hey,
Hey, everybody. Hey, lady. Like I'm just seeing you. Ain't that something?
I've seen you about 20
So,
times this week.
I know, right? I know. Like, oh, it's just so amazing how we just keep ending up in some really cool places, right? We're destined to be together one way or another.
One way or the other.
Yes, I know. This topic literally just hit me like 20 minutes ago. I would say a good 20 minutes ago, probably right when I sent it over. Because at
Mhm.
first I was kind of thinking, Minister Kaylee, to talk about not going at it alone, because that's been kind of a weird day for me today with that. Um, Bless you.
Thank
And
you.
then Holy Spirit just said, how to get yourself out of messy situations, and how to get yourself unstuck. And so I started thinking about, there's all kind of situations that can be a mess for us. And then my first thought after that was, what happens when you're stuck in a mud pile, your car? The first thing that you do when you get stuck in like a whole bunch of mud or a really thick area with your car,
Mm-hmm.
you tend to press on the gas,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get yourself out. And then you begin to dig deeper into that hole. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we typically don't stop and think. We typically don't stop and pray. Even the ones that we consider the best of us, that we think we're just so overly holy and righteous, that we don't think to pray a lot of times first. We don't think and ask for wisdom. And so I was like, okay, that's a pretty cool thing to talk about. And so one of the things that I wrote down is, if you're just thinking about like what it is, like if I'm in that, think about, where am I? What's happening? And just think, okay, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, and I don't know if you've ever been in that type of situation, or any situation. It could be anything. It could be at work, your family, where you're in like a mess, where it's in a relationship and in a discussion. And instead of just leaning into, okay, I'm here, so now what do I do? you know um I can't just gloss over that I'm stuck in this mud. I can't just gloss over that I just had an argument with somebody. I just can't gloss over somebody left my business. I can't just gloss over my husband's going to divorce me. I
Yeah.
can't just gloss over somebody lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought was, it is what it is. you
Mm-hmm.
know it's going to be what it's going to be. And so many of us, and I've been there, I have to raise my hand. I still do that often. I'm in denial
Mm.
about where I'm at, and you and I were just having that conversation, where I'm it's for a short time frame, and then I try to snap out of it. And that just in my older age happened.
Mm.
I mean, younger age, I just was trying to, um, I would work so fast, I wouldn't really kind of lean into that I'm here and how do I learn from it, you know? So that was the first thing that I wrote down. The other thing that I wrote down, and you tell me what your thoughts are, was to embrace my feelings. So many
Mm.
of us think that we're not supposed to have feelings. I mean, Jesus had feelings,
He should have. He Jesus wept.
and he turned over a table. Okay.
And he turned over a table. He sure did. A
And he
couple
got a
of
little perturbed with his disciples every now and then. Like, why can't I trust? What's up with y'all?
y'all can't pray with me for an hour.
I can't leave for a minute with my other two homies and come back and y'all done fix something. No.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do want to encourage people that are, when they're going through different things, especially the YouTube followers, because I know there's quite a bit of those that kind of pop in a little bit late from other countries, and they're going through some really crazy things. Um, and in a lot of cases, a lot crazier than what we're going through here in the States.
Yeah.
It's just to embrace those feelings. I mean, you know, uh, if you ignore those emotions,
Mm-hmm.
it could just matriculate into something really bad, really, really bad. So it is what it is, and embrace your feelings. What are your thoughts on that? Embrace your emotion.
Embracing your most. I think that is one of the most. I think embracing our emotions is one of the things we truly do not do
Mm-hmm.
as a human being. I feel
Mm.
like that is the last thing we do when
Yeah.
it comes to
Yeah.
situations and things, embracing and acknowledging where I'm at, right? I feel like that is a simple, it really is quite simple when you start doing it. But I feel like it's a truly something that we have got to start as people really, really embracing and really being honest with ourselves about. Because I personally have grown to realize that the moments that I do that, whatever the situation
Mm-hmm.
is that got my emotions in whichever way,
Uh-huh.
it gets a little bit smaller. My perspective changes because I'm choosing to
Wow.
say, I am angry because,
Right.
instead of
Right.
me just going straight to angry, you
Yeah.
know, I'm allowing myself to say, there's nothing. He said be angry, but said not. So,
Hmm.
um,
Wow.
so that shows me right there how precious God is and how much Jesus helped him to understand that we have emotions
We have
and that
emotion.
they are real and that we can have them and still not sin. So
And
why
still
not embrace all the emotions that we carry? Why
right.
not embrace them when God has given us permission
To do it.
to feel, to do it, to be it?
And you know those people, you bring up a very, very valid point. I'm outside. You bring up a very valid point. That God has given us permission for us believers to have
Mm-hmm.
emotions, but sometimes we are not taught right. We're not taught correctly, and we don't seek our own knowledge to
Mm-hmm.
get a better understanding, because He says in the Word, "In all you're getting, get an understanding or gain an understanding." And so a lot of times it's spiritual. It could be spiritual, or I'll say religious. Let me put my
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote, or it can be cultural,
Mm-hmm.
where we don't want to lean into those feelings because we were told that if we lean into those feelings and emotions that we're weak, or we were told that you gotta hold it in as a believer. You can't show your emotions, just go pray
Mm-hmm.
about it. And I'm convinced that prayer and faith work together, and faith without works is dead.
It's
And
dead.
so you've got to be able to channel those feelings and lean into those emotions and know that it is what it is, and know when you say what it is that what it is what it is that it's not the end of the world. It's not. And I hope we're helping somebody with this today, when they, I know a lot of people are coming in and off, and then they'll share and all that fun stuff. But because a lot of people suffer from depression and stress and all of that because they just hold stuff in.
They're incubators for their emotions. They allow their
Mm.
emotions to be their incubator. And
Wow.
incubation is just basically you just conducting everything in. And once you do that, it's really hard to release. I think that from a African American perspective, I
Mm-hmm.
believe the way we treat emotions really goes back to slavery, because
Mm.
we were taught to not show emotions because that would get, the white man all
Right.
messed up and might get on your back even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
We men
Wow.
had to deal with seeing their wives molested,
Mm-hmm.
abused, and they had to shut their mouth so their wife don't get killed.
Right.
Women had to shut their mouths and be quiet because even the men in slavery times were abused as well.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like it has just matriculated in its own way down from century
Mm.
to century to century. And then if we go to any other race, they also have their own ways of how
Hmm.
they also incubate their own feelings. Some negative, some more negative than other. Let's just keep it
Yeah.
there. It's not a race issue today, but every culture, every generation has their thing when it comes to this emotional part.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that it all stems down from generations before. And the crazy thing is, I wish it was like a generational meeting every year. So everybody that was
Wow.
born in this generation,
Wow.
everybody was born,
I
I
love it.
wish we could have that, right? And we all sit and say, okay, this is what I was taught. This is what's going on. This is how we feel. What are we going to do with this next generation next? I wish we could have like a conventional
Mm.
meeting, a big old meeting, and we
That
just
sounds like
talk
a
about it.
tribe, don't it?
Yeah,
Sounds like a
sound like it.
village.
Sound like it. But what if we did stuff like that? It sounds like something
Yeah.
from a movie. But what if we did? Because Denise, Evangelist Denise, there are tons of people in your generation that probably feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, what you just said is pivotal because
Mhm.
I learn, and I think I've told you this a gazillion times. I learn a lot from you. I learn a lot from the people that are much younger than you.
Mhm.
I learn from people that are older than me. I learn from people that are my age. I mean, everybody doesn't say that or probably can't say that because they're not seeking to understand. They're seeking
Yeah.
to be understood.
Yeah.
But what you said is huge. And, I always have to you know, always have to throw it back at our churches because we have everybody every weekend, whether it's in the sanctuary or online. So we have, people that are dedicating their Sundays, Christians dedicating their Sundays to
Mhm.
service. That's an
Mhm.
opportunity to have some of these generational discussions, and especially in times like this, because these are some messy, messy, messy situations that are going on right now. And if we had those talks like what you're talking about, I mean, we can learn so much because the 24-year old today or 25-year-old today is not the same as when I was 25.
Exactly.
The
Not
16
dealing
year
with
old
the same
today is
thing.
not the same as when you were 16.
Yeah. They're not dealing
You
with the
know?
same things that you and I
Mm-hmm.
dealt with, from our different perspectives. But you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
something so I don't know, this might tickle your gizzards a little bit.
Uh-oh.
But since the pandemic and since being back in church, I have this, and you make a great notion, which I totally respect and I do agree.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned about when you say church's responsibility, community, blah 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 blah, which is not blah blah blah. I'm just making
I
notes.
know what you mean. I know
Um,
what you mean.
I'm just
I'll
making
give you some
our
grace.
viewers, our
I know what
viewers,
you mean.
they don't know, they
Yeah,
don't
you're
know our
right.
dialect, but but I've learned, Evangelist Denise, that as much as all of these things are available, not everything is being done and available at church. We know that,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
the things that are available, and what I have learned since this pandemic and coming back, people are choosing what they want to learn, what they want to participate in, what they
Mm-hmm.
want to allow in their space and in their life.
Yeah.
Why is it that churches have been open, but they're still not back to capacity?
Hmm.
And but you got your nerve to say the church isn't teaching us
Whoa.
the church isn't teaching us that. And the doors of the church are now open, evangelist. And we're like, hey, we're ready to we got ourselves together. We're ready to really teach y'all some real stuff. We're tired of playing church. Hey, we're ready. The church
Yeah,
is
because it's a
open.
different norm now.
It's a different, we're ready, but where are the saints? Where are the people?
So can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't do this devil advocate thing. I'm gonna do an angel's advocate or
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in between.
Somewhere
um, what I will say is that and I'm speaking from somebody who has been, whether it was my own fault or someone else's fault. My perception is my reality, which I can say that for many people. They've been burned, and so we can't. The new norm also means we can't get them back the way we used to. Okay, we can't get them. We can't just open the doors back and say, okay, I know y'all tired of being at home. Church is back. Because people that have been burned said, finally, I got an excuse, the pandemic, not to go back to church. Finally, I can stay home. I don't want to, people who were on that cusp, we have to meet them where they are. If they were active before the pandemic, there's a way to get them back active, where we're still in the pandemic, right here in the midst of it, even though it's slowed down to get them back, but we have to meet them where they are. I would venture to say how many churches, how many leaders in the churches, because I can raise my hand and say I have not done a great job of this, have reached out to people who are not active anymore since we've opened our doors back. I've done a little bit at a time, and I can honestly say I've gotten two people to come back to church. They come to the church that I'm at right now,
open.
but I'm just one person. And you know what? If there's one, that's great. You know, we let our light shine, and then God does that gathering, right? But we are supposed to be making disciples. You know, I don't like this outside stuff, but I'm out here. But we are supposed to be making disciples, and you know, in making disciples, we have to meet them where they are. We have to show them what we're learning. We have to show them what we're doing differently. A lot of times we can't do it because we can't get out of self. I'm gonna be real transparent. I'm one of those people. In the beginning, I could not. I'm like, why would you not come to church? The church, we finally, you know, we were doing things 6 feet apart. We got the mask on. We got these programs. We learning. We're doing things different. Oh, the pandemic taught us something, and you're excited, but those people are burned. They've been burned. They've been scorned. They've been lied on. They've been talked about. They don't have what we have. They don't know how to rise above. They're stuck, and so you know, no matter what church programs we got, no matter how kind of announcements look a little bit better, that personal touch of, hey, how are you? I really want to know how you're doing. We miss you. Is there something we can do that will help you get back active, or how you do? You know, find out where they are and really try to have a listening ear. But we don't have that feet on the street, or that mouth on the phone to
It's
get these
not
people
enough
back.
boots on the ground. It's definitely not enough boots on the ground at all. And you're absolutely right about that. But from a perspective of the burnt person, the hurt person,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about emotions. So feeling hurt, feeling mistreated, all we're talking about emotions, we're
Stuck in
talking
a
about
mess.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
at some point though, you have to choose to not feel that way, or to no, you have to choose to heal. When does that occur?
That's another great question. Is that hypothetical? Or can I answer? And I'm only giving my perspective on this. So, you know, for those of you that watch later, I know Teresa said she was going to be popping on as Stephanie and um, 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 oh gosh, can't even remember her name. She's going to kill me. But, you know, for me, I'm sitting here thinking that um, before the pandemic, we were just having church,
Hmm.
and we weren't teaching people how to deal from I'm talking about from a grand scheme. I'm not talking about individual churches, because like Tabernacle
Yeah.
of Praise is probably doing it. Boat
Oh
Rock
yeah.
is
We
probably
just
doing it at a certain degree,
from a
but
grand scale.
from a
Yeah.
grand scheme for our viewers, you know, we weren't teaching people how to deal with life on life's terms. We weren't teaching people how that people don't know how to heal. Like people don't know how to have a conversation. You say, "Oh,
Mhm.
if you mad at your sister, you go have a conversation with her." But their thought of a conversation is to either not have it, or to tell somebody else about it first, or to have an attitude and ignore them for months and months. You know, so they really didn't know how to have a conversation that didn't get raised up. So my point, my long response is that yeah, they should. I don't take the responsibility from individuals that they should make a choice to get out of their messy situation, i.e., get back into church and be used for why God wakes you up. However, we didn't do a good job pre-pandemic of anything but having church. We
Yeah.
catered to the people who were inside the church.
Yeah.
We very rarely catered to the people outside the church. And what we catered to on the inside was a feel good sermon, a topical sermon that didn't give them some practical tips on how to deal with grief. Oh, girl, the,
What happened?
the fly went in my ear and I threw my earring over there. See, it's gone. But
Oh.
how to deal with grief, and how to deal with divorce, and how not to have divorce, how to talk to your children, how
Mhm.
to, you know, have a relationship with another female that's not, you know what I'm saying? It's like how to get on the phone with somebody and not really gossip, you know, and tear down somebody's character that you didn't see, you heard about. You know,
Mhm.
so we never really gave them those tips. So now that we're in this place and we're like, you need to get on back in here, um they don't know, people really don't know what, a lot of people don't know what to do or how to do it, you know, or their background. To me, and it might sound to some people that I'm making excuses, and if you think that, then say it, but I think that my spirit tells me, my heart tells me that I'm giving people grace, and that I know, as an active minister, evangelist, I wasn't somebody who's sitting on the sidelines, that we I us's did not do a good job of
You're right.
equipping people So that now we're in the middle of this pandemic still. People they're like happy to be at home. They forsake the assembly. Now they go, oh yeah, I really can have church at home. But you got to be among, and if you're not in the right church where you're around other believers that are trying to do the right thing, they have a common goal of loving one another, helping one another, making disciples. They don't have that common goal, then yeah, you probably not, you know, on that tip, you're probably
Mm-hmm.
not going to go back anytime soon, coupled with your laziness and your stubbornness and your past and not knowing how to really handle if you didn't like something. Because most of us culturally as well, if we don't like something, we run from it. Instead of doing, like I said earlier, is to lean into it is what it is. So now let me go deal with the emotion. Now let me go talk to people and have some small victories. Let me go talk to somebody about this. Hey, I want to be busy in church. It does just don't feel the same when I'm praising at home.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be around some other saints and believers, but we don't, and to your point, we don't have enough feet on the street to go help those individuals or talk to them or make those calls. What is the missionary department doing? I asked that. What are the deacons doing?
Mm-hmm.
I asked that. What are the ushers doing? I'm not saying they're not doing anything. I'm saying if we want to get people back safely, we have to do things differently than what we've done before. Completely. Can't just open the doors back.
You're right. And I just mentioned to my pastor, I said, because we're at my church, we're back. We have opened up. Well, it was closed now, but we just recently opened up applications for leadership. And so
Okay.
there's more leadership training. And so we were having a meeting about that a couple of weeks ago. And I was telling him, I said, Pastor, I said, even though we're ministers, deacons, deaconess, people, whatever whatever title you
Mm-hmm.
want,
Mm-hmm.
I said, can anybody in here raise their hand and say, I received a class, I received teaching, I received a person
Wow.
to help me in discipleship?
Wow.
Can you really, like, even me, I had said, I know what discipleship is, but executing it, I never
Right.
learned that.
How
And I
to
said,
do it.
it's a bunch of us leaders here, and we have figured things out along the way, right?
Along the way. Yeah.
But is that, how can we help someone else? And we don't have a solid framework, because majority of us are veteran leaders in the ministry or in the kingdom or whatever you want to call it. And we learned along the way.
Along the
I'm
way.
the youngest one at my church in leadership. And all of them, they were saved under, Pentecostal, Kojic, whatever it is. And
Mm-hmm.
those leaders in their time, it was, you just do what I say. And when I say jump, you say how high.
Right.
And you just learn.
How long?
Yeah, right. And you just went with the flow. But I don't think people have ever, in the last couple of decades, I don't think it's been this is discipleship. This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the church do that. I see
I'm gonna
groups.
tell you
I
something.
see the e-groups when you get your group, when you join the church, and I
Mm-hmm.
see that. But so
Not
how
from
can
a
we assist somebody when we don't even
if we
know
don't
what
know
the heck
what to
we
do.
doing?
And when I tell you, okay, so we are a new church at Boat Rock Community Baptist Church and
Mhm.
Undo Ordinary Global Ministries, and the Undo Ordinary Global Ministries is just for that. And we actually started a discipleship training. It's been about 6 weeks now, and I facilitated. And when I tell you, I had to learn first in
Yeah.
order to be able to facilitate it to my leaders, to my pastors' leaders, to the leaders of our church. And so now I'm doing that. But you bring up a valid point. As I'm learning it, I'm like, where did all this come from? I didn't know this, as I'm learning it. So you're right. We don't know how to make disciples. And I'll tell you, and you said something else that's just like really hit me like a wow. Like I think about all the things that we've done. There's a place for tradition and there's a place for the new. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the tradition that we've been told, and no offense to any elders, anybody,
Of course.
you've been wearing the hat, the what you call the little thing that you put on your head, cover your head.
Doily.
Oh, yeah, the doily. Um, I mean, all those things, the lap clock, all the things that we've done, the mourners bench, all that. I mean, all those different things that we've been doing. Some of those things, I'm not saying these particular things, some things in tradition were all inaccurate, very inaccurate. And oh, the motorcycle guys are racing through here today. Um, Very inaccurate, but we kept doing them, right? And I don't recall any of those times where we ever talked about how to make disciples. Those are the two things that we're most responsible for, and that will help people with these messy situations is the Great Commission and the Great Commandment. But I myself, I'm an evangelist. I went to school. I still didn't have a clear idea until I started learning what I'm now teaching of how to make disciples. So you just bring up a really valid point. And then thinking of tradition, because we've been doing it the same old way, expecting a different result. And what do they say about that? That's insanity. It really
Insanity.
is. You can't
So
keep pushing the bike the same way and expect in a circle and expect to get out of town. It don't work
it
like
won't
that.
work like that. So, evangelist, this is a messy situation, as you have,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
gracious topic, made this a topic, and I was, what the, how do we get out of it? What can we do to better this messy situation that we're
yeah,
in?
yeah.
And it's not just a simple answer. It's so
Yeah.
layered. Emotions
Mm.
are involved, philosophy is involved, religion is
Mm.
involved, the Bible is involved. So many different layers to this. And then on top of that, all these denominations are involved too.
Oh boy.
So
Cultural, like you
all
said,
all this,
emotional, our past.
all of
And,
it.
and we're at 26 minutes, so we are about to close out, right? So, I mean, we definitely want to talk. Hey, Shanavia, we see you, sister.
Hey,
Thanks for joining. But you are right, sister. It's layered.
it's layered. It's so much
It's
work
layered.
that got to be done. Like, we're on the
Mhm.
foundation.
Yeah,
So,
we are on the foundation. And, we ask you all to please, I guess, going back to the original thought that Holy Spirit gave me is don't go at it alone. I mean,
mhm,
as we close, if you are in a messy situation, I mean, whatever it is, don't go at it alone. Um, know that it is what it is. Just kind of lean into it. It's not the end of the world.
that's it.
Um, lean into your emotions. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. You know, um, with this pandemic still going on and people still not looking like their situation, you
Mhm.
could dress it up like you can dress up a pig. I mean, I always tell people, they go, "Oh, you look so nice," and I go, "You know what? I thank God I don't look like my situation some days, and I
That's
declare and
it.
decree that I will not do that." So, want to make sure. Oh, hello, dear. Oh boy. So make sure that really really make sure that you just hang in there. Ask for help,
Mhm.
reach out to your circle, choose your circle prayerfully and carefully.
Yeah.
um, Find somebody you can talk to, ask for help. People can't help you.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times gravitate to people who've gone through the same thing you've gone through because I don't know it's kind of weird. That's kind of weird sometimes, but people that have gone through what I've gone through, I tend to have a little bit more, um, I don't know, trust in their ideas of how to handle it sometimes, that's not for everybody, but for me, if we were talking about it this morning in church, if you've been through a rocky marriage and I'm going through one, I probably need to talk to you about how you got through. If you're dealing with substance abuse, and I know someone who is, they probably need to talk to you because you've gone through it. You've gotten to the other side, and maybe you can provide some helpful tips from a human perspective.
Hmm.
So don't go at it alone, everybody. Hang in there. We love you. Thanks for joining, and we hope that you share this with someone that you know that might be in a messy situation. I know we'll pop on again next week and talk about something similar. Um, and I know I needed to talk to Minister Kaylee about getting a guest on. But please join us. If you think this is helpful for you or someone you know, please share it with them because we're all in this together. And we love y'all.
God bless you all. Remember, Jesus wept.
Bye bye.
Bye.